bodies and abusing our bodies. So they can further themselves in medical science, and it still ain't saving them. They're below zero birth rate. They're disappearing from the planet. And because we're blinded, we can't see it. So now Roe v. Wade gets overturned. You don't mind me talking about this, do you?
No, sir.
And so white folks are coming out, not black folks, white folks are coming out saying, no, you gonna have that baby. I don't care if you got raped. I don't care if it was incest. I don't care if your life is threatened. We're running out of people.
Come on.
And we can't afford to have you not doing it. Now, what they're doing with Caucasian women, they're not doing that with black women.
Say that. Yeah.
They're not running over with black women saying, oh no, you got to keep having children. Why would they want you to keep having them when they make sure your child got plenty of guns?
Jeez.
See, they know we're watching foolishness like hip-hop housewives and basketball star wives and stuff, but they have documentaries on almost every night where they're revealing themselves.
That's right.
And what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that was not a lie, it was the truth.
Right.
So they've been showing Memorial Day how the NAACP and others fought hard to get black folks, you know, to be able to fight in the war. And they said it was so disappointing. All these black men enlisted because they heard America was getting in the war. And when we got in, they said we're going to get a uniform, and they were proud black men and said we'll go to the front line and fight for our country. Only to find out they were put in labor camps when they were in the army. This is what the documentary showed. And the documentary was saying the reason they put black men in labor camps because it was taboo to let a black man have a gun. Now, how can you be so careful to make sure we don't have a gun and we in a place that gives guns out?
Right.
Government issued guns.
Right.
And now they can't control the guns that's in our community. Come on, son.
You want it. Hey, wow. You want it.
See, technology is the science that they use.
Yeah.
And they know we're asleep to. In fact, every time they hit us, it's like a sedative. They make sure not only that we go to sleep, they make sure you never wake up.
Right.
And that's why Louis Farrakhan is such an enemy. To ask yourself, a black man that carries no gun, refuse to have you around him if that's the way you want to live.
Right.
He's only armed with truth.
See.
You said it's a lie, but you haven't brought the truth to prove it was a lie.
Right.
And they got him down there like enemy number one. Be sure he never gets out there.
Come on.
But the dope dealer's out there.
Right.
The pimp is out there.
Come on.
The gangbanger's out there.
Right. You want it.
No, they don't want you to wake up. And what Louis Farrakhan is holding in his mind and heart is a wake-up message from the Honorable Elijah. So he said, it's social deterioration. Our social relations are breaking down. And it's getting easier to kill people that look like you. It hasn't always been that way. This is a recent phenomenon amongst us. I would accept if you could show me historically that as far back as 6,000, 10,000, 50,000 years, that's the way we've always lived, murdering each other like that. I got to accept it, man. I said, look, you, what do they call it? You got receipts.
Come on. That's
That's what the young folks say. You got receipts now. And if you got receipts, I got a computer to back me up.
Right.
But when you go back then, you don't find us doing that kind of thing. Right now, I bet you there's some buildings right around here that if engineer came by and inspected some of these buildings. They said, you know what, this thing is dangerous. And either you got to do something to fortify it, or in a year or two, the building may collapse. Why? Because they built it so long ago. Some of the buildings, when we're out on call out, we walk past some of the buildings, we can see it buckling on the outside. Now that comes from their knowledge and science of building. But when you go overseas and see the pyramids, the pyramids don't have no L&I looking over there. You see that? The pyramids are more than 5,000 some years old and better.
Right.
And you don't have L&I over there saying, well, is it safe to go around? We're taking selfies and everything around the pyramid. That's the science we have, that we fell from. And they wanted to make sure we never recaptured it. So our social relations are breaking down. Once you can break a family down, the attack on the nuclear family, you begin to tear apart, house by house, the little communities that we have tried to build and hold on to. If a black woman has to work late at night, and she's coming down the street, and I've seen this because I'm old. So when I was in the gangs in the south side of Chicago, I mean, it was in the 60s, and it was a quick run. By the 70s, everybody wanted to be out of there. We were known, but in the 60s, somebody's mother got off a bus, and it's late at night, there's about 16 guys standing out there, she didn't have nothing to worry about. Because she knew all them from when they were gay high. And they were in the game and everything. But see, there's no code anymore of what's off limits. Are you following me? They'll kill anything and anyone. Why? Because we're deteriorating. You can't go back to the 60s. You can't go back and relive these times when we all used to sit on our porches and can talk to each other down the street. You know, that's deteriorating. We're going to have to build something new.
Wow.
And that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He said to him, behold, I make all things new. We can't even renovate this. Look at this. He said we got broken marriages, broken minds. Everything we do from the mind. We didn't know. We knew we could measure certain things. Because through calculus, you're able to see how fast things move when there's a force behind it. We found out we could measure light traveling at 186,000 miles per second. They talked about the sound barrier. We found out we could track sound at 1,120 feet per second, right? Yes, sir. But when we came to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's light due Minister Louis Farrakhan, we found out that the travel of thought could be measured at 24 billion miles per second on an average. Thought is the most highest organized form of energy in the universe. So much so, it's so organized, it's a thing. And you can think on it and actually change matter. Go ahead, teach us. That's right. A man. And they're doing this now through evil suggestion. That's right. He can think hard enough on being a woman. Right. He could never change into a woman. But his features will start softening because the thought is there. It can deconstruct and reconstruct matter. And make matter conform to the nature of the energy that's pushing the matter. Are you following me? A woman thinking she's a man, but she could never turn into could be so great that her features harden.
Yeah.
And she looks harder and far less feminine because the thought is there. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So thought is a thing, man. It can make changes for the good or the bad. So the minister is saying when the mind is broken, that means the thoughts are not connected. A broken spirit, he said. And all of this brokenness, he said, evolves from a string of broken promises. We've been promised a whole lot in America. A lot of people think when you don't know a promise has been broken, it's easy to think, you know what, let's just accept it. White folks are smart, and we just ain't that smart. And when we see a black person that's notably brilliant, we think that's an aberration, something unusual coming from. It's only unusual in that it's unusual because of the way they have made us.
Right.
But in a lot of that, that's God's way of showing us he never left us. Genius is coming out. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, there are riches on the earth. He said, but Allah, God, put the most valuable riches deep down in the earth. And in order to get it, you got to know the science of first how to discover that it's there. But once you find out that it's there, and the earth has veins, just like the human body, they find a vein of gold, a vein for silver, iron ore, and other mineral deposits that they want to bring out of the earth. You got to dig for these things. You just can't go around and pick it up when you're following this. And it's valuable though, so they go through the work of bringing those great things out. So just like he put real treasures deep down in the earth, he put real treasures deep down in the civilization that we live in. They take a young white girl, they teach her piano lessons from 5, 6 years old. She go to singing classes, she go to ballet. They got the money to do it. I don't blame them. Try to cultivate it, you know? Give her singing lessons and everything. Because they got the money. They have the top of civilization. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
But still, she may be able to hit a note. But you find a black girl deep down in the civilization who never got a chance to have a piano lesson. But she know how to play the piano. Never had a singing lesson, but like a canary. Just come out, and when she opened her mouth, they said, "Girl, where'd you sing before?" Down at the church. We built a little church, and I was singing there. And if you see, all of our artists came up from the bottom. Ray Charles went blind as a child, but he could play the piano and never had piano lessons. Wrote all kinds of hits and everything. And I'm saying he came up from the bottom. That's what I'm talking about. Allah stores great riches down there to let us know we ain't forgotten.
Come on, man.
We don't have a land like the Arabs ended up with oil after Revelation came to this. We don't have an oil. Some people came up with great deposits in the earth that they didn't live from that would enrich their people. Our talent. Beyonce is like an oil well. Go and look at somebody that's got one oil well and see how much they making from that. And I guarantee you, Beyonce have made more than they get from one oil well. See, our singers, our entertainers is real oil well, but we don't harness that power the way we should. We talk about the great wealth that they have made. You all see what the white folks made this man.
Teach on that.
They're down there making crumbs compared to what those who are sitting over them. Look at the brothers that went out west, Death Row Records. Nobody knew that Interscope owned them. Suge Knight is they gangstering everybody and they beating up on everybody, and pretty soon Tupac gets killed. Dr. Dre leaves. Suge Knight ends up getting put in jail. Interscope, after making all the hundreds of millions of dollars off Tupac and the others, Interscope sells Death Row label for $400 million. So they're cleaning up even at the demise of these guys. You understand? So I'm just trying to tell you how we're being marketed and being made merchandise of, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is telling us, and we got to wake up. You can't stay in a state like that and save your children. Look at this here. We got broken promises from the government. We were promised 40 acres and a mule. We didn't get the 40 acres, and we didn't get the mule. The white folks that came over here and got homes, they didn't get homes because they were smart. No. They were illiterate when they came from Europe after World War, after the Civil War. After the Civil War, they had killed up a lot of their people. Go back and study this, because a lot of this is in this state. The most fierce battle of the Civil War, the turning point of the Civil War was in Pennsylvania. And a lot of the history is right up there. But they killed so many of their own, they started mass immigration of whites coming from Europe. Most of the whites that came from Europe were illiterate. They didn't bring aristocracy when they came. They took the dregs of Europe. Just like they started this country off, populated the 13 colonies with the jails. They cleaned up the jails. They just took everybody out. Did you know we have that program right now? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is saying, give us 2 years. Let us in all the institutions. Let us teach for 24 months. And then we ask all the inmates, how many are willing to leave America? We have land in Africa cut off from the rest of Africa where we can build our own nation. And somebody said, Muhammad, I ain't never heard of an idea more ridiculous. Then I said, welcome into ridiculous, the United States of America. Because they have populated 13 colonies with people that were in the jail cells. And they didn't give them a rehabilitation program. They just put them in the ships and got rid of them and cleaned their jails out. They populated Australia the same way. That's how you get that Crocodile Dundee and all these types of stuff over there. Because they let these people out of jail, uncultivated. So they're over here now, and they said, now what are we going to do with these white folks that we immigrated here? So go Google it. I'm so glad I Googled. Yes, sir. Fact check. And Google the Homestead Act. What was the Homestead Act? The Homestead Act gave every family that was immigrated from Europe 250 acres of land. Then they set up training for how they take the land and cultivate it. They had another big problem. These people couldn't read and write. See, back then in the 1800s, the wealthy and the well-to-do were educated. The less well-to-do, we just had to go without school. All right? So they came up with an idea, public school. Horseman said it's the great equalizer. And when public school first started, I have to say, it was a lot better than it is now. I can remember in grade school in the 60s. When I left third grade you learned how to write. So your penmanship was expected when you got to the fourth grade. Anybody remember what I'm talking about? Even if you barely went to school, you learned something. We started out reading with Jane and what was it? Dick and Jane and Spot. some words on the board. 10. Monday, you had to write them down. You already supposed to know how to write. Just follow me. Because you go to school now, you don't see this in fourth grade, you're lucky if they know how to read. And you have to write them down. You have to take those 10 words home. Anybody remember this?
Yes, sir.
Tuesday, you have to come back to class with the definition of all 10 of those words.
Come on.
On Wednesday, you had to write a sentence for each word to show that you knew how the word was to be used. On Thursday, they had a list of definitions and words, and you had to match the word with the definition.
That's right.
Friday, you had a spelling test.
Come on.
Right? Monday, you got 10 new words.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on.
You done added 40 words to your vocabulary. And if you're in a social environment where you're using this language, you're lifting yourself. Yeah. It's hard to pull the wool over a man that can read. So they had to get rid of that. Now you got to remember, for 310 years there was a law against us knowing how to read.
Right.
That's not even so. They wanted to make sure you didn't know how to read. By 1871, we got the right to vote. But women couldn't vote. So the only ones voting was black men. With black men voting only, we put 664 people in the government.
Right.
See? Because we had hope that we could do that. And we knew leaving the plantation that they made us illiterate by making a law that we couldn't read. So 2 things we did. And I told myself, if I don't do nothing else in life, I'm going to do these 2 things, and I'm going to make sure my sons do these 2 things. They said it's against the law for me to know how to read. I'm going to learn how to read, and I'm going to vote. But those are 2 things they definitely told me they was taken from me. All right? So, by 1877, there was a compromise. And the compromise ended up with an agreement to take the federal troops out of the South. When they did that, Jim Crow rose up.
Right.
Now the lynchings start, the gang rapes on black women, everything to make you feel less than so you don't. The Ku Klux Klan started in Tennessee. The idea was to make you look like the ghost of the old slave masters of the South.
Right.
And that's what the white sheets was, to scare you. They never attacked slaves. Go back and look at the Ku Klux Klan history. They only attacked free black people.
Right.
See, because they don't want you exercising freedom. How dare you think that you can think independent of us?
Come on.
And just the fact that you're going to do that, we're going to come around and terrorize you. And we know you love Jesus suffering on the cross, so we're going to burn a cross on your
Come
lawn.
on. Go ahead. Go on.
Show you how much they was thinking about Jesus. So this is all playing a role. That's what I'm trying. Because while you're and I being denied, they're constantly building up this whole influx of immigrants that have come in from Europe. After the Homestead Act, they went back to war in World War II. And they had a thing called the GI Bill. Now you know how black folks got to sit down and go in and do an application for them. We trying to get a house, everything. You done heard about redlining. They already know what zip codes they're going to deny the loans to.
Right.
So they don't even have to realize what street you live on. Once that zip code is down there, it's coded, we deny this loan.
Right.
Now, World War II comes up, they got the GI Bill. The GI Bill wasn't well, let's look at his credit. Let's look at her credit. The GI Bill, once you had the GI Bill, I'm a GI.
Right.
I automatically got something. Black people participated in they made sure they gave them every kind of hurdle so they didn't get that. What I'm trying to show you is that they took whole schools of white folks and lifted them up.
Right.
So that today, when we look at a Pew Charitable Trust analysis of black and white wealth, the average white home has a net worth. It was over 100, now it's at 149,000.
Right.
That means that when all their bills are paid, everything, on an average, that household still has about 149,000. The average black home is at 5,600. Now, I'm telling you how they skillfully work
That's right.
to take one group, and see the Quran says that the crime that Allah looked at with Pharaoh is how he divided the people and took one people over another.
Right.
They don't say who the people are, but they definitely show there's a division.
See, follow me.
And so they're lifting someone. And don't say, well, why is he talking about the scripture? What are we doing in church?
Come on.
If it ain't talking about what's happening now. What are we doing in Jumu'ah prayers and stuff?
Come on.
See, we gotta stop playing with religion. If God knows what he's talking about, there's something in that book that's supposed to help us. To pray. Don't ask me to sacrifice. Don't ask me to worship, and you're not giving me tools to work with.
Right.
To deal with present day reality. And somebody may say, well, that's ugly for you to say that like that, Muhammad. But guess what? I said it like that, but I'm doing everything I can to learn from this book. But there's a whole lot of people think like what I just said.
That's right.
And they don't even show up at your churches. They don't show up at our mosques. They don't show up at no house of religion. They don't want no religious instruction because they don't see it doing nothing for us. So I got to hurry up and close. So I just wanted to show what the minister is saying. He said that these string of broken promises by government and from leadership that have failed to help our people turn around the misery and the wretchedness of our condition. Then he sums it up by saying, the knowledge to correct the horror of our condition is already among us. We should stop it. I don't see what Biden is going to do. What we should be doing is giving Biden a list. Then let's see what he's going to do about this list. We live in South, is this South or Southwest? Southwest. So we're in the Southwest. We have a list of things we want to see. The schools are jacked up. You got asbestos in the buildings. Whatever it is that we see ourselves needing, we should have lived. Muhammad's thing is, for me, a raggedy plan is worse than none at all.
Come on, man.
So if you tell me, well, Muhammad, that's a ridiculous program and plan you want to give, but everybody else ain't putting nothing on the table.
See.
We just gonna wait to hear what Biden is saying. Well, Biden put a cap on insulin, so you won't pay over a certain amount for insulin. Yeah, because compared to European countries, America is really robbing with insulin, right? But see, the real question is not even putting a cap on the cost of insulin. How did we get diabetes in the first place? I'm talking about at this wise range. What are we eating?
Come on.
That we got diabetes at this level in the first damn place. Come on now.
Come on. Come on.
Now, once you got it, we got to do something, get something corrected, so you may need the insulin in that. But is there a way that we can go after this? And Mr. Muhammad says that there is in his book, How to Eat to Live. The minister taught us, he said, God created us so perfect. He said that when we follow God and our mind, our thoughts, our words and our actions are in harmony with his will, your body, he said, become a walking hospital. It's got everything in it that we need for the body to heal itself. And when we partake of food, how to eat to live, though the Honorable Elijah Muhammad shows us that God is showing us this from the scripture. How they eat to live is really a health maintenance program. And it's teaching us how God has already stored medicine up in food. You just got to eat the right food.
Yes, sir.
And when you eat the right foods, guess what happens? As you get older, you start looking young.
Come on. Hey.
I'm like the other day. She said, what year was that, Minister Clark? I said, I just came from Detroit. That's ridiculous too. When I got back in. But he's 90-something years old. I said, his skin is soft as a baby.
Come on.
Not only is he following how to eat to live, he's got a farm, he's growing his own food.
Teach. Go ahead.
Because they're messing with the food now. I used to see people cut watermelons and fan flies away. They used to sit on the porch and cut the watermelon, and people would be eating it, and they, try to spit out the seeds and stuff. Notice watermelon ain't got no seeds. This is an evil. He is not interested in what God created.
Come on, man.
He's going to take it and tamper with
That's
it.
right. Come on.
So anyway, the knowledge to correct the horror is here. Look at this. The potential force and power to cause us to rise up as a people is already amongst us. In other words, Barbara said, we don't have to wait on child, I'm waiting on God is waiting on us.
Right.
He's already done what he's going to do. The finance to fuel our rise is already amongst us. Let's go into that. I pull up, it's on Wabash Street in Chicago. It's called Target Market News. Now, black folks spend every 12 months now $1.3 trillion. 1.3 trillion. Let's set it all on the table.
Yes, sir.
Now, a trillion is 1,000 billion.
Come on.
That's what a trillion is. A trillion is 1,000 billion. So let's leave 1 billion on the table and take 999 billion off the table. What is 1 billion? 1 billion is 1,000 million.
Come on.
That's what's 1 billion. Let's take, if it's 100 million, let's take 900 million off the table. And let's just leave 100 million on the table. It's 50 million black people. It's enough money right there to give all of us $2 million each.
Go ahead, man.
And look how much we got to spare for what we spend on. When they come to us, we're crying broke. We don't live in a socialist order where everybody is getting something to make sure, Now that's the way God created our body. You can't make the body act like America.
That's right.
When you sit down and get you some green, white potatoes, come on now. Some y'all eat green.
Yes, sir.
You take food into your system. You got no control over it now. It's God's. Every area of the body that needs something, when it extracts the nutrients and vitamins, it makes sure it gives every area of the body what it needs. It don't discriminate.
That's right.
Say they don't get none, we're going to keep more of it.
Right.
That's pure, the minister teaches us, that's pure socialism.
Teach.
That's a pure socialist setup to make sure that the society is completely fair. Because the number one goal of the body is to stay in a perfect state of health as best it can.
That's right.
So we live in a capitalistic society. And in order to be a player in a capitalistic society, you got to have some capital.
Right.
So we try to go to the bank. If the bank is turning us all down, we don't have capital to become a real player. Follow me?
Come on, man.
So we don't realize now the minister is an English major. the schools he went to were so thorough in their teaching that he almost didn't need books when he got to college. He had taken trigonometry. He had taken this. He had learned the boys Latin. He knew the languages. He knew the root of the languages and everything. So the minister is looking at the word capitalist and capital, but he said it comes from the Latin root capitis. So when you look at the human form, if I cut the hand off, that's an amputation.
Right.
You amputate the hand. Somebody says your leg got gangrene coming up in it. We're going to have to, what? Cut that off. That's called an amputation.
That's right.
But when somebody cuts your head off, that's not an amputation. That's called decapitation. You back to the root capitis. Because our real wealth is in the head.
That's right.
We're not broken people. We're broke from the way we think. We're broken people. People tell me around Philadelphia, Muhammad, you got to realize the school system is broken. I said, this operates just like they want to. White folks are learning, and you coming out dumb as hell. Whatever we're learning, it's not making us get up and build anything. We don't have nothing to show for what we're learning. So our own children don't even want to follow us in what we've done. No, it's working just like they need it to work. We're the ones that's broken, not the system. When the spider spins a web, all he intends is that lightweight creatures get caught up in it. We don't say, well, you know, the spider's web is broken. No, once you caught in that web, you can't get away. He doesn't have to hunt for you. He got you. They don't have to look for us. They got us. All they got to do, well, you know, we're giving away something free down here. Here we go. We're giving away something down here. But look how much we're spending because the real capital station is so misguided that we can't turn around and harness them dollars. So, you know, I was an accounting major, so I had to take a lot of economics courses at DePaul University. But they have a thing called the economic multiplier. And the multiplier is how many times the dollar turns over in your community. In the Jewish community, it's anywhere from 13 to 21. Because that means one Jewish person spends $1 at a Jewish cleaner. He spends $1 at the Jewish deli. Who spends it at the Jewish bank? Who lent something to the Jewish person that had a business over here? So the dollar just keeps turning over in their community. They said the economic multiplier in the black community is less than 1. That means before you have your 10 o'clock coffee break, the dollar's gone. Disappeared from the black community because we don't own what's in our own community. So when we down there spending it, can you imagine black men wanted not only to drink whiskey, gin, and stuff, but we would go out in the woods and set up a spiller. That's right. Called moonshine. Yes, I do. Come on, follow me. And they would somebody would always tell old sheriff, the cracker, where we was hiding, they could always find us. Right. And then by the time they catch us, we go to jail, they shut that whole thing down. By the time we move to the city, we see the prohibition thing, they making hand over fist money, folks drinking, they got speakeasies and stuff. So, black people trying to get that, they hijack all our trucks, what can we do? The black man, show you the genius he wants to survive. He went inside himself and got something that didn't need an inventory, didn't need a truck. He came up with numbers. Come on. So, and they call it nigger food, so nobody paid no attention to it. I have a book at home that deals with the life and times of Arthur Flingenheim, he's a Jew, but he was called the Dutch. So the name of the book is called To Kill the Dutch. In it, they have books that show how much, just in part, the numbers, the little nickels and dimes was bringing in every day. It was $500,000. That's a lot of money back then. Now, when they got a hold They look how they did it. They came to us and said, these are criminals. Come on, these policy kings. Right. All right? Because that's an evil thing that they did. So they make us shun, but we were playing. Right. Go down and put me down for that. But anyway, but just follow me for a minute. But they want to get these guys out. Right. So they want to jail them. Right. Now, Arthur Flingenhauer and Doug Schultz was trying to take over Harlem. And the black woman, Madam Queen, Josephine St. Clair, she had one of the biggest banks in Harlem. And Doug Schultz would have been able to take it had it not been for Bumpy Johnson, who was a big gangster then and had the brothers organized. So he never got that bank. But he was getting Big Joe Ison and others, out of there. And in Chicago, they ran the Jones brothers out. They were big policy kings. Right. Now, the policy kings, remember, they kept Miss Johnson from getting evicted. Pete Williamson said, I mean, put out an apartment, so they put that on there. They started they were some of the early contributors to the black insurance company. We had black insurance companies coming out of North Carolina, Life, and others. But a lot of these insurance companies, they were helping to fund that. But see, all the time they were telling us it was evil. Right. Finally, they got to us. Now, we run out the policy people, and the lottery is down the street. Every little store, and just you playing the numbers and the Powerball ain't enough. Right. Get these to make them real colorful. Scratch on this for a lucky charm. And all of this stuff. And God help me, they come up with the dream book. White women don't have dreams. You've never seen that's not a racist statement. You've never seen it. No, I dreamed it. But black women, oh yeah, I dreamed that. That boy, they're gonna be. There's something told me. Come on, now. But they made the dream book. And we the ones started the dream. Because that's about, we didn't have no money. We didn't have no money for ourselves. We didn't have no money to send our babies to school like we really wanted them to go and everything. What else could we do but dream? Come on. They went and made dream books. Go over there. I bet there's some store around here. Everything is up there. You don't already know what to do. You scratch on this, peel that. You got to play this one and that. They got all this stuff for us to play with. And we're over in line because we got no other plan. Everybody that's getting a ticket, you go over this way. Go over this way, and you line up. So now, God is stirring the hearts, particularly of young people. And you see almost a universal cry as they're reaching across racial lines, the generations that we're producing. And they're having a problem dumbing people down. So you're starting to see now death every day. And pretty soon you get desensitized to it, you get used to it. And it's hard to deliver yourself from something that becomes normal in your life. Death just becomes normal. Yeah, but there goes somebody else. And so we're not alarmed anymore. And so they know we're not up fighting against this kind of thing. I'm just going to say, bad stewardship was a note I had. See, a good steward, the first steward of life. See, we think the father and the mother created. We don't create life. We're God's agents. In the Quran, it says it like this. Allah says, I created you in the womb. Yes, it was the sperm of the father. Yes, it was the egg of the mother. But I'm the one that brought creation to us. And once the child is born, we're the first stewards of the child. So, what should a steward be doing? Well, I got to go out and work, provide for the child and everything. But we also should be learning. How can you transmit knowledge to a child if you ain't got one? Do you realize how bad It shows 8 black children who live on a farm. And they were walking to school. They lived most of their life never owning a pair of shoes. So they walk barefoot. And you got to figure they live on a farm. They probably milked the cow and fed the chickens and stuff before they went to school. But they walked 4 miles to school and 4 miles back. But they were determined to learn how to read. I'm going to show you what happened when they kill your desire. The social deterioration takes place. Now you got a young black boy, he got $300 Air Jordans on. He looked across the street from the library and don't want them. See, they're killing our spirit to fight. And in this world, you can't fight without knowledge. And when you don't have knowledge, and you got guns, then you have an unloaded mind with a loaded gun. Roaming in the community. And a gun puts a thought in your life. I know when at a time in my life crazy, you put a gun on, a whole different thought. You know, you don't have a gun on, you won't, everything's going to be all right. That's what Cedric Entertainment said. You ain't got no gun on. I hope nobody right? But you put that gun on, the whole thing is shit. I wish somebody would. Right? So imagine, you live in your life. You live around urban decay, substandard education. Your parents are barely making it, or somebody's away in jail. Most of your friends have left school at an early age, so most of us are semi-illiterate. We know how to get around and do this, that, and the other to survive, but we really don't know anything. So hopelessness says, a gun in your hand is something you never had. Power. Power. You got it. And most people, when you get power, you want to try it out. So you either look for an argument or you go and just do something. They got the initiation thing. Now we got the drill rap. But we rap and then we do something. We put code language out there. We took one of yours out. Now they put a rap piece out letting you know, yeah, you're going to pay for that too. And pretty soon it ends up homicide factors. You know, and the blood is flowing. Well, the stewards that are over us introduce falsehood to us. This is speaking of the minister said. Our brain, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, we got 14 billion brain cells. Every single cell was created to think right. And when we think wrong and think unprincipled, it worries us. It disturbs us. We don't know why. If I gave everybody a blank sheet of paper and gave you 15 minutes to list all the wonderful things that have ever happened to you from the time you were 5 years old until now, and I said, okay, 15 minutes is up, pass your papers, you'll still be trying to figure out what else could happen to me. Just trying to remember, you know. And the minister said the reason we have difficulty remembering the good because we were created out of a good. Good was expected. But if I gave you a blank sheet of paper and gave you 15 minutes to say, list all the evil that has ever happened to you, that page would be full. In 10 minutes. You won't need the whole 15. You know why you can remember the evil that happened to you? Because it's unnatural. So we're totally different people from the narrative that's going on in America. But who's going to tell us that? And I can tell you, it had to be somebody down where Elijah Muhammad said that's not involved. In fact, he said totally uninvolved in present world corruption. Right now, if I was challenged to put a name up of any human being that's totally uninvolved in present world corruption, I'd say Louis Farrakhan. I would say that. So didn't treat you right, then they're not going to teach you.
That's right.
Well, how do you know you didn't teach me right? Because if we were taught right, we would accept mistreatment. We only accept mistreatment because the man who didn't treat us right didn't teach us right either. We still got time to learn this right. I don't know how. Y'all sound like y'all want to fight. We're not in a nation to fight right.
Come on.
We're not trying to fight right. You should go look up Mr. Louis Farrakhan. Google thing. When he played the two violin concerts, the closest teachers to him were Jewish people. Elaine Furman and others, that's a Jewish woman, an accomplished violinist. If he had hatred in his heart for white people and Jews, he never could have let them in his home and been working with them that close over weeks to get ready for a concert. He wouldn't even let them teach him.
Right.
But they were his instructors and coaches to get him ready for the two violin concerts that he won. Of course, the ADL fought to keep it on next week. How many black people are going to watch a violin? They didn't want it on next week because they didn't want other Jews watching.
Yeah.
Because their Jewish brothers and sisters said, wait a minute, y'all been telling us this man was a black Hitler and everything, and I'm looking at this, because they go to those concerts.
Right.
So you know, we have to see that he's not going to teach us the way we need to be better for ourselves and our own self-interest. That's what I want to do. And the closest companion to this was Farrakhan. One of the closest in Chicago is a Caucasian Catholic priest, Father Flavor. Go look it up. Because he said Father Flavor is more revolutionary. He has an all-black congregation.
Right.
And the Pope tried to get him out. The Vatican tried to get him kicked out because he's with Minister Louis Farrakhan all the time.
Right.
And that's but no, we have a wake-up message that we don't have to fight right people. We can outgrow. What happens when you outgrow something? They become unnecessary. This is what the fear is. He can't be a God over us unless we need him to feed us tomorrow. He can't be a God over us unless we need him to clothe us tomorrow. But when you start growing and you're ready to take on the weight of your own existence, and I end with you, our power is in our ability to control ourselves because we don't have the money. It's obvious we're out of control. We're throwing away $1.3 trillion every year. But I guarantee you, if you control yourself, you'll see what kind of power you have.
That's right.
And I don't need nobody. You don't have to know. This movement requires us to do just what we're doing now. Go somewhere and sit down. Right? That's how powerful we are right now. Sit down for 72 hours. Don't spend no money. No cash register ring.
Right.
Stay out of CVS and right. All the little stores that we got to run in and run out and spend our money every day. If enough of us sit down on it, you'll see how much power we have. They rely on our weakness and our confusion to be able to pull this off. So, the black man and woman, if I can say something about America, have become a baby. What that means is, as I said before, when my sons were 5 and 10 years old, everything they had on their back pretty much I was about. Every morsel of food they put in their mouth, pretty much I was about. The roof that was over their head, I was spending the money to make sure everything was there, they studying and everything. So they can talk, they can ask for something, but at the end of the day, what I said goes. Why? Because maybe what they want, I see something in it that could be dangerous for them or not good for them, you know? So I might have to overrule what they want or my decision has to go. Why? If I'm 10 years old, you can't take babies. My children are no longer that age. So what used to be an order is advice. What used to be an instruction, it's a suggestion. You understand why? Because they become of age. They take care of themselves. I have to respect the boundaries that they're in now. When black people don't go. When we're crawling on the floor and everything, the mother and father know what the house looks like. That's where they made the baby. So they know about the baby, don't know the baby lives in the delivery room at the hospital. So when the baby gets home, it don't look the same as it do to the mom and dad, right? To the baby, it's a whole new discovery. As soon as the baby can crawl, it's everywhere. You got to make sure you know where the child is, right? But one day, like the minister said, the baby sees something, and all of a sudden you see them stand up, and they might be walking a little bit. The baby wants to stand up, and you know what? They try to take a step, and mostly always they fall. But have you noticed, even with the fall, they may cry, they stand up again, and they keep standing up. They'll keep falling until they learn how to stand up and stay. You know why they fall? Because when you're crawling and laying on your back all those months, you never felt the full weight of your body. It's only when you stand up on two legs that you feel the complete weight of your whole body. And you got to learn how to get the balance to hold it. So we're people and we're crawling. And the only way we can stand up is to get balance. And when we get balance, we're able to stand up and hold the weight of our own existence. That's what the weight is that we got to learn how to do. If our babies need to be taught right, we got to be the ones to teach them. If they need to be in a clean school, we got to build those schools. I know the task looks monumental. It look almost impossible. Somebody say I'm talking crazy. How does somebody else do it? Right. They said that Mr. Muhammad, now that the world looks all sophisticated, you're going to take these few black folks and build this and that. Look what you started with. Look at the 13 colonies. You want us to honor that every 4th of July. But we can't honor a humble beginning and begin to work on that and to build that. Booker T. Washington did it. He took people who had grown up on dirt farms. And they wanted a college. And I'm reading how Mr. Booker T. Washington took them, showed them how to cut down the trees. They made the lumber, take the clay and bake it in the oven to make their bricks. And Tuskegee Institute is one HBCU that was built by the students. Campus was built by the students. Don't tell me what we can't do. Just tell me what we're going to do, what we can do. And I thank you all for listening. I want to say right at the close, and I'm thanking Brother Zebulon for this gathering. Look, this book, National Agenda, after the Million Man March, now we have one or two generations don't even know the march took place, right? But this city sent the most people, this metropolitan area sent the most people to the Million Man March in 1995. We had almost 2 million black men there. And they wanted something to follow up with. We went back to Washington at least 3 consecutive times after the Million Man March. But in the year 2000, Minister Clark, I sent Ben Shavers out to go to the NAACP, Urban League, Cornell West, Black United Front. All the black organizations weighed in and put together a good program for black people. The reason I went back to get this book by the cases is because as I go around the city and to the town hall meetings, listening to the people who are trying to build something in the community to fight against violence, poverty, and everything, I can see they need help. Everybody's not going to join the boss, I know that. But for $5, you can take this book and it'll give you ideas. Even if you didn't follow to the letter, I guarantee you everything that you're fighting out here right now is in the book. The beauty of it is that Minister Farrakhan has taken things from the scriptures and show us how the scriptures, along with our social activism, can actually serve as a force of transformation in the way we live right here in the city of Philadelphia. So if you want something like that for $5, you can purchase one of those books today. I thank you again.
Well taught family. We're going to be respectful of the time. We opened up with prayer. We're going to close out in prayer, so let's please stand for prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the world, the beneficent and merciful, master of this day and judgment in which we now live. Thee alone we serve, and thee alone we seek for aid. O Allah, guide us on the straight path. The path of those to whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those to whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray after they heard thy teaching. Say, He, Allah, is one. Allah is He of whom none is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He neither begets nor is he begotten. Now bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is His messenger. Ameen.
Ameen.
Go in peace, brothers and sisters, and never be